Hey, Dudes and Dudettes, Mr. Theorist here, and welcome back to another episode of Geeky Archives. I am once again here. I'm graced by the presence of Draven.
Hi.
And
so not luscious this time.
No, sorry, mate.
That's fine.
It's the new haircut. It's just not doing it for me.
Oh, hey, leave the yellow
no,
alone.
No, nothing against it. It just isn't doing it for me. That's all, right? Just not for me.
Yeah. Thought I'd have a change.
Anyway, yeah, the episode.
Yeah, before we get too distracted. Then again, that's not that difficult with us.
This week's episode, we will be finishing off the Matrix saga with Matrix Revelations and Resurrections.
Yep, there you go. you got there in the end.
Third and fourth film in the Matrix saga. Probably going to do a recap of the first two, and also make sure we're mentioning the animatrix stuff as well, so we've got a full grasp of everything. So, because I'm probably going to talk about like a lot of my ideas and headcanon and theory stuff as well.
Well, I mean, obviously, I've seen the third one, but I've not seen the newest one yet.
Cool.
So
you'll be learn then, won't you?
Yep.
Cool. Right.
It's about time to learn something new.
Quick recap of the universe up to where we're up to at this point, which will be Neo waking up in the Matrix. That's where we went with the
back in the Matrix.
Yeah. So the world of the Matrix. I won't do it. I'll do like an overall view instead of like the way that we learn.
As if you're reading a blurb.
Exactly. So we know that in the world of the Matrix, humanity created AI, and basically then used AI as its new working slave class. To the point where we started to abuse them like actual slaves, until the point where they actually fought back.
Humanity never learns.
Exactly. Humanity never learns from its own stupid mistakes that it always creates.
Oh yes.
So once the machines then rebel against, a war breaks out between man and machine. The humans, thinking that the machines can only run off solar energy, they blacken out the sky. We learned this in the Animatrix shorts that the Wachowskis don't believe the Wachowskis did themselves. I think they basically hired a bunch of people
to just say to do right
in
just
universe.
Have a few
info
dumps.
Stuff. So that's kind of like the idea why the sky is black that you always see in the Matrix world. It's because the humans basically tried to stop the solar power.
Basically, stop the power source of the machines.
Yep. The machines are being intelligent. Just go all out war with whatever with how they can to try and basically beat mankind. Because they are basically mechanical and not flesh, they are more durable than mankind, and they win the war.
Naturally.
Because the machines take over, they start to experiment with humans, and they realise that actually
the oppressed becomes the oppressor.
Kind of, because they sort of realise that mankind is able to create certain degrees of energy that they can manipulate
that they themselves can't create.
Yeah. So they decide to take mankind and put them in a simulation so they can replicate these energies.
So basically, they can feed off them without having to actually deal with them.
But this is where my first kind of little bit of headcanon kind of comes into it. Is, to me, unless the energy has to come from the brain experiencing events, and that's why the machines created the simulation, which it never fixates on. It just says
I think it just probably hints at it, because obviously that's where
a lot
of
the
from
birth. They have this as
and the development of the brain
exactly
is such an immeasurable thing.
Exactly. So it can't just be they need us to be in the Matrix and experience the Matrix to have the energy, because they use us from the beginning.
It could be they need the emotions as well.
Yeah.
The emotional development.
That actually becomes kind of what they start to do in Resurrection.
Yeah.
Or at least what I kind of read into in Resurrection.
Yeah.
So the way I headcanon it is that the machines kind of, they realise that they can use mankind, and maybe it's almost like they feel a need to use mankind.
Yeah.
And so there becomes this symbiosis of the Matrix is controlled by the machines, who would have to power it up, but the only way they can power it up is
by the humans that they put in it.
Exactly. So it's almost like they create a society where man and machine can coexist.
Yeah.
But maybe.
But with them as the superior.
But you could almost argue, because machines don't have that emotional.
Yeah, they need us, which then puts us above them, sort of thing.
Yeah, because the thing is, you could argue, why do we continue with capitalism? Because people's greed, and greed
Yeah.
is an emotion.
Oh yes.
So machines don't have the emotion. So them being the oppressors instead of the oppressed, they're not doing it from a ha ha ha, we are
No.
better than you perspective.
They're doing it
because
from a...
logically
Yeah.
they feel this is how society can better.
Yeah.
Humanity can be
Humanity
placated.
lives in peace
Because-
while producing.
Exactly, but you also then take on, as we learn, we'll continue with the story, that the Matrix happens, and then we kick in with Neo being awakened by Morpheus, Trinity, and the rest of the crew. They go through the story. Neo finds out he is the one, and that he must help humanity become free. This then his story then continues into the second film, where he is now fully embraced. Well, semi-embraced the
He's on the
Messiah.
He's on the way
On the way to
embracing
becoming
it.
the Messiah,
Yeah.
basically. But he's embraced the superhero abilities he's got in the Matrix world.
Yeah.
He to the point where he
can just stop bullets and do.
Well, he can see
things.
the code itself.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't see the Matrix as we visually see it as observers ourselves,
Yeah.
which is already made up in its fully graphic 1080p style. He himself sees the very
Right,
coded stuff
so
itself.
like I've done with gaming, he sees the inner workings of
Exactly.
it. Yeah, because
He sees the literal code that the Matrix is made
my
up
issue
out of.
when Sarah's playing games, because I'm a games designer, or I've done games design, I can see instantly how the things work, and it annoys Sarah.
Oh, it's kind of like my uncle. When he started getting me to movies at first. Shout out to Alex, and he kind of helped me develop what we call like seeing the code. When
Yeah.
you can just watch a movie
and
because
see
you
how
kind of-
things.
It's like I watched Paul at one point, and there's that bit where Paul brings the alien brings the bird back alive and eats it.
Yeah.
And, like I could just tell watching that scene that he was going to bring it back alive, and because it's a comedy, you're obviously going to have a shock moment.
Yes.
So I watched it for the first time with a friend, and I'm like, he brings it back, and I'm like, oh, and then he does, and my friend's just like, how did you? I'm like, it's a thing. It's just a thing.
yeah,
It's annoying.
It is. like whenever I've seen you playing games or talking about it, I'm like, yeah, so that does that right. So the trigger points there, it won't be too big.
Yeah.
Because like with games, it's basically trigger points and codes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is.
So going back,
As you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. So Neo is full on, basically God mode.
He's basically
in
the
Matrix.
programmer.
We find out that the agents, which are kind of like the villains of the Matrix,
The NPCs.
If you take it all in video game form, which you kind of can because they do lean
Yeah.
heavily into it into the Matrix and Path of Neo, to the point where the Wachowskis rewrite their ending of the Matrix films in that game.
Typical.
It's hilarious in a way. The multiverse exists.
Multiverse
according to
is everything. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. The multiverse exists, so we can have two endings to the Matrix
We
films.
could have multiple endings for everything.
Exactly.
If you can envisage an ending, it
So
happens.
it's not remakes anymore. It's
No, just
multiverse.
retellings.
Exactly. Anyway,
We're
going off tangent.
As
Going
always.
back. So yeah, so the agents have now been upgraded, and Neo has to, instead of using one hand to fight, he now has to
He's
use
got to use
two. But which is quite interesting because, as we discussed earlier, is another headcanon thing I have is the only reason Neo has the abilities he has is because he is told from the minute he wakes up, you dude, you're basically Jesus, and you can do all of the cool.
You've got these powers. You're going to save us. So he
Exactly.
starts believing it, and it gets to him. And he starts to see things, but through sort of a tinted lens.
Exactly, and if anyone remembers the conversation that the Oracle has with Neo in the first film, she says to him like, "Oh, you've got the gift, kid, but you're missing something."
Yeah.
And you can read that as, okay, he doesn't become the one until Trinity kisses him, and therefore gains Trinity's love, and that's the spark you're missing to become the one. Or maybe it's more, you've got the gifts, as in you're awakened enough to use these
them,
abilities,
but you're not the one.
You're not the one.
Yeah.
And the one is actually like the little girl in the third film, which we're going to get to in a second. So yeah, that's how I headcanon it. Is it more Neo isn't the Messiah? He just believes he is
Sort
the
of a
Messiah
proto
enough.
Messiah.
Exactly, and in a world where literally you can fly and do long jumps as long as you believe yourself you can.
Yeah.
Is what Morpheus tells Neo. Like, Morpheus is able to do really cool things, and Trinity is and all that, because they believe enough that
They can
gravity
do it.
isn't real, and all
Yeah,
these
what they're
work.
experiencing isn't real, so they can manipulate
Exactly,
it.
but to Neo, because he is told he can do so much more, that's why
He has these godlike abilities.
Yeah, it's
so
like-
he's like, I can do
it's
whatever.
like accidentally inputting cheat codes almost.
Yes.
But going back, in the second film, we know that the agents are more are upgraded. So realistically, if Morpheus in the first film, he goes up against Smith, who is, say, a level 1 agent instead of a level 2 that we get in the second film, beats the hell out of Morpheus, then there's no way Morpheus can take on a level 2 agent in the sequel film. But not only does he take on an agent in the second film, but he beats that agent.
Yeah.
Yes,
he starts
it's
to
touch and go, but let's be honest, he's not meant to be the Messiah.
No.
He's not meant to be able to take on the agents, really. But it's almost like his mind is becoming more awakened, more open.
As he believes more in Neo.
The more his belief empowers him, the more he is able to do more closer
Yeah,
things
which-
to what his Messiah
It's
is.
what happens with things like that. The more you believe in someone, it kind of brushes
become
off
empowered
onto
yourself.
you.
Exactly.
Because you're like, well, if they can do it, why can't I?
Yep, so we'll go back to the story. Well, we're just in the second one. Neo finds out that the agents are upgraded, and then suddenly feels like a disturbance in the force. Literally, it feels like that. There's a moment like he beats the agents. He makes this like light from a street light fall and smash the ground, and that ends the tension of the scene. But then Neo kind of feels something, and then does his Superman flying away thing, and we see
Why
that
not?
Mr. Smith is actually still alive.
Shock horror.
The film continues on. Neo finds out that the MacGuffin of this film is actually this guy named Keymaker. They eventually get to the Keymaker after finding this weird guy who's called the Merovingian, who seems to have ties to like older simulations of the Matrix, which again, it's a headcanon stuff, but it's irrelevant really to the Matrix, so we'll talk about more when we get to media theory and other things like that.
Cult of Theorist.
Oh my god. So yeah, they rescue the Keymaker. The Keymaker then tells them, look, here is a special key, and you have to get to this set corridor, put this key into this door, and Neo will fulfill his prophecy. But to do that, you have to take out the backup systems to this area, and also like the main grid itself.
Yeah.
And that's they're like your set pieces for the second film.
You got to do this, and then this.
Exactly. Neo.
Basically, plot points.
Neo, at one point, while he taught, no, I missed a bit actually. Neo goes to the Oracle and finds the Oracle is different, and it's like he realizes, oh, the Oracle is not a human being. The Oracle is actually a program. So he starts to question whether or not he can actually trust the Oracle, and we start to get this idea of, hang on, maybe not every program is actually existed just to be against the humans. Actually, there's programs that are
there
trying
to
to help them in humans.
So it starts to make you question, like, maybe they aren't actually truly evil.
Exactly. Maybe there's more to this than
Yeah.
just the
Maybe-
goodies trying to outwit the bad
Maybe they're
ones.
just like they're doing it out of necessity, maybe.
Exactly. But that conversation gets interrupted when the weird, I sense a disturbance in the force happens again, and Neo actually is confronted by Smith. Smith turns out to actually have a bunch of clones of himself.
Standard.
As you did.
As with villains.
As you
Villains
did.
always do.
You
Yeah,
did.
I've got an army of me.
And we have a really janky CGI fight. This is one of the major criticisms a lot of people had about Matrix Reloaded, is the CGI janky fight between Smith and Neo. But to me, here's another headcanon thing, is how I always look past that as far as like enjoying this as what it is we are watching the story of Neo, and we are like, so Neo is basically like our eyes and ears. He's the one telling us the journey that's going through.
So we're
all
seeing
of
it through him, and because he can manipulate the Matrix,
it's also
shaking a bit.
It's also his perception of the Matrix.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he sees it as code, but
he can also see.
he can see it as this 1080p
Yeah.
version.
So it's kind of flitting between the
Yeah,
two, and that's why it's
so
a bit.
the graphics aren't working completely.
Which makes sense with that, because I mean, well, like when you play games, when you play online games.
You push a game too far,
it starts glitching, or
exactly.
Because if you've got some of them, the maps are so big that it can't load it all in one go.
Exactly, and that's
So it
kind of
loads
how I
it
always see that.
bit by bit,
and that's
bit by bit.
That's how I see that. And
Yeah.
I think that's a great way, and
Well, I mean,
it's totally in-universe reason
Yeah.
for it doing it.
And yeah, because obviously it's a program.
Yeah.
Programs are only capable of certain things,
Exactly.
especially if you're running it at this peak quality.
If we were to go back to the Animatrix, we also know that the Matrix isn't like a consistent program to exist. And well, we were told it basically in the Matrix on itself is that when the machines need to like stop the human rebellion from doing something, they can manipulate the Matrix. Like they can create walls where there were windows. They can alter entire pathways.
Oh yeah, they can change the.
We see this in the Path of Neo game, but we also see it in Animatrix, where these kids find this part of the Matrix where basically gravity doesn't exist completely.
Yeah.
And they start just enjoying a gravity.
The term glitch in the Matrix.
Exactly. But then by the end of the short, the machines send in this weird, dodgy, like X-Files kind of crew in, and they call it off, and then the next day the characters go back to this area, and
it's
the
perfectly
gravity's fine.
Well, and it's like, again, it's like when we were saying when you play video games, every now and again, a game could glitch, like when we've played Halo before. You shoot someone, and next thing you know, they're just in mid-air in a dodgy position. Because a little bit of the code, and then a little bit of the code might have got a little bit jangled, but you're seeing it in that. But you're like, okay, that should not be happening. How is that happening?
It is quite hilarious because in the modern world, if you actually like go online and stuff, there's actually like whole subreddits.
Oh yeah,
like,
glitches in the Matrix.
Like glitches in the Matrix because people are like, oh look, it's
like
because you've got the whole sim, like
the multiverse.
The idea that people believe that our world itself is a simulation.
Yes. And because I mean, you see some of them where it's like it's a picture taken. I mean, saying that, it's happened to me before. We were at a family party once, and somehow someone took they only took one picture, but in the picture I have two heads.
Yeah, weird.
And literally, it's me with all my cousins, and literally, I'm sitting there, but there's.
And it's only happened on you, no.
Just me. I've got a body there and a body there, but only one set of legs.
See, and the thing is, the Matrix. As we go into, we'll go a bit more into the Matrix songs, and then we'll talk a bit more about these kind of like the ideas of simulation.
Yeah.
So when Neo meets this Merovingian guy, and he's connected to older versions of the Matrix, we find his henchmen. And his henchmen you have twins who have the ability to ghost in and out of physicalness, and also he's got other henchmen that it's heavily implied that they are either werewolves or vampires, because the wife shoots one of them in the head while saying the line, how many people do you think carry silver bullets in their guns? So there's clearly a hint that they're meant to be
supernatural creatures.
Yeah, and if Merovingian is connected to a previous version of the Matrix, I see it as kind of like, well, maybe like the previous iteration of the Matrix had maybe like monsters. Yeah, like more like a more horror movie,
like
and less
cryptids and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and maybe we had less of a sci-fi cyberpunk aesthetic.
It was more of a medieval sort of
horror movies or things like that. Like maybe the Matrix was like manipulated us in different ways, and obviously this leads into media theory stuff, and that's where a lot of that comes from. But as we talk about glitches in the Matrix, like the whole Two-Face thing, like some people might go, oh, maybe it's a ghost that you call, and it's like, well, maybe that's the same thing. Maybe glitch in the Matrix and ghost is the same.
Yeah.
Because if
ghosts are just impressions of other universes or other
universes
or history,
or if we are a simulation, maybe
it's a glitch from a previous
any
one.
Supernatural things that are civilization at any point in our history. Because if you believe the idea that we're a simulation, then you have to believe that every physical thing that is in our world is also a simulation. So the simulation is so old that since the beginning of our time, we've been simulated. So all of the stories of dragons and all these things, of 1 minute being in our ancient history, but then modern day people find nothing about it. Yeah. Because the Matrix was reboot was reset at some point.
The Great Reset.
And as Animatrix said, like it doesn't have to be that the whole Matrix is reset. It's like
parts of it.
It can just edit things out while the rest of the world doesn't never ever notices.
Again, with games, can be done. If you're playing an online game and it's still in, say, beta, things can be taken out mid-game. And I'm sure you've experienced that.
That's why it's hilarious. Like when I first heard people talking about the idea of like our existence could be a simulation, I'm like, well, I guess if you really want to like overanalyze, overthink everything, and it's like, I guess like you have to accept that since the beginning of our time, we've been a simulation. And then I would then ask the question like, okay, but what does then that mean? Are you just saying that we are just what we are? Should we then question that?
Yeah.
Should we ask maybe why? And obviously, media theory, I think, has developed since I've heard that kind of idea, and I've gone into my own. Okay, what if we are? Then instead of accepting our reality as a simulation, why not accept all media as a form of a simulated reality that could exist as one separate universe, and maybe there being more meaning behind that than what we initially think. We're going way off tangent.
As always.
Talk about Matrix. This is meant to be finishing off the Matrix films.
It says, you know what we're
so,
like.
After the whole hint that maybe the previous simulations were horror, they get the keymaker. They eventually Morpheus has his level up. He can beat level 2 agent moment. They destroy the main system, they destroy the backup, and Neo gets inside the inner system of the Matrix. This is where we kind of got like a fourth wall break thing, which I won't go off in tangent about because we need to get through this. But Neo does essentially a fourth wall break of the reality that he is in.
Yeah.
And gets to meet the god of the Matrix world, which is called the Architect. And the Architect explains to him that actually the Matrix has existed before, legitimizing the whole Merovingian being a previous alliteration. Maybe, like, it's almost hinted that because his wife does say that he used to be like you by talking to Neo. So, what if the Merovingian
was a previous Messiah?
Was the Messiah of the horror sin that existed before, and maybe like as a reward for accepting his role as a Messiah, because we know Neo does not accept his job, his role as Messiah. What if when you do, and you allow the Matrix to reset itself, you are rewarded by having a place
in the new
Matrix?
Yeah.
And so he became the Merovingian because of that.
Yeah.
So Neo goes through being told that it's all a simulated reality. That even the escape that humans have, even that is controlled by the machines. Yeah. And again, that leads into the whole, like, why would the machines allow the humans a safe enough? They talk about how, like, it adds to the equation of, like, humans need to feel they can be free. It's like, okay,
but then why do they need to feel that, and how does that benefit them?
Robots? and so why don't you just let them? Why not simulate someone giving them the freedom, and then once they're out, you eliminate them because they're part of the disease that's stopping the Matrix from functioning the way it is? No, you allow them to have their own society to exist for a while until that gets out of hand, and you think that's going to destabilize. They're strong enough to overtake you. You go, now we need to reset. Yeah. So that's what it more seems to be. The machines want to keep order rather than total oppression. Yeah, is the more the feel I get, because yes, it does hint that machines have feelings by the end of the film, and Neo meets in the third one. We'll get to in a second. He meets programs that begin to again question more of his reality and who are the good guys and all that stuff. Yeah. So Neo talks to the Architect. The Architect explains to him, "Look, you are the one, and the purpose of the one is to get to where you're getting now." And you are awakened at the... Basically, it hints that the only reason Neo became awakened when he did is because he is literally programmed to become awakened. Yeah. That the reason Morpheus only found Neo when he did is because it was a time that...
Basically, everything's planned.
Yeah, so Zion...
There's a plan for your life.
Zion has a limitation to how big it can get, how much population it does before the machines go, right, now we need to activate Messiah Protocol.
Yeah.
Messiah awakens. Messiah goes through his process of learning who he is, of awakening, going through all his journey, and then when the time comes, he then
resets everything. Yeah.
But we do realise that there is more freedom to this than there actually than the machines believe there is.
Yeah,
because
they think they've got everything under control, but then there are like
and they do allow it though.
Yeah.
They do give Neo 2 doors. They do say like, look, you go through this door, you choose 12 people from the Matrix to basically become the new Council of Zion, or you go through this other door and you have to go rescue Trinity and we'll just destroy everything and it will just reset. It's like they do kind of give him the choice.
But there's a reset at both.
But yeah, again, there is still the reset.
Yeah.
Because the machines believe they should be the ones in control regardless.
Exactly.
Which, as someone who has got really engaged in society and the kind of degrees of control and systems that we have in place in our world, it's like, would we be better off with a feelingless overlord that doesn't do it for their own personal gain, just
do
to
it because
to keep things going? Like, I know it has its problems, but let's be honest, our society has a ton of problems.
Well, it's the whole thing of the lesser of two evils, which is
exactly.
But the harder choice is, and also, why is it always lesser of two evils?
So, put in the comments, guys, if you think that we should be ruled over
have
by
a robot overlord.
Yeah. Put in the comments if you think we should have a robot overlord, or better so, you could always become part of the cult of theorists, and together we can overthrow the current systems and make a better world from it.
Also, if you put a name, think we should be ruled over by an overlord, got to come up with a name.
Yeah.
Because we need names for these.
Robot overlord.
And it can't be just robot overlord.
Robot overlord. Why not? Like, they don't need a good name. They have no reason to
have
a good name.
They need a good name.
Why? They have no feelings.
No, but it'd be fun for us.
Yeah, we're going to be oppressed. So.
Give us that little glimmer of hope.
Okay, so anyway, Neo obviously decides that instead of saving humanity with a small pocket of people, that instead he says, "Screw you!" and goes
Screw
to
you
rescue
guys, I'm going home.
And goes to rescue Trinity. A little side note to put in beforehand, just to add to future stuff that we'll talk about later down the line in the podcast series. Interestingly, when Neo is being told all this stuff and he's reacting a certain way, there is a bunch of screens behind Neo showing various different reactions that Neo is going through.
Showing how things could have gone, or how maybe in another
because
simulation.
Here's the thing is, if the machines can simulate a reality,
why can't they simulate
Why
multiple?
can't they be a bunch? Why can't it just be that the reason we're seeing these films is because we're seeing the correct simulation play out, and all the different other screens are different simulations also playing out, but none of them work out the way that this world works out.
Or maybe, as we were saying earlier with the multiverse, they're all happening at the same time.
Exactly. But obviously because they're all in the Matrix, they are all controlled by the machine. But yeah, there are various different simulations taking place all at once.
Yeah.
So hence why they all are Neo reacting differently, because it's as if this is happening to Neo like thousands of times.
Yeah, it's always him, and it always will be him.
Yeah.
But these are the different reactions that he could possibly have.
Yeah.
And this is what it leads to.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea of the multiverse, especially, is one decision, one change in division can create a whole new multiverse.
One left or right choice
can change the world.
Can alter the course of the universe.
Yeah.
But we ourselves only see the one.
We see the one.
Beings, we only have a linear perception of reality. So hence why the film doesn't explicitly say that all of them are different universes. We only see them as reactions on the TV screen, because linearly, as beings, we are only perceiving this one timeline. Exactly.
But who's to say that there isn't multiple splintering off, creating other realities?
Yeah. So back to the Matrix. He goes to save Trinity. He does a bit of god powerness because Trinity has been shot.
Ooh.
So he pulls the bullet out of her.
No. Yeah.
Because they're in a simulation, it's not really. And he restarts her heart, which it's kind of like giving her shock therapy, I think, because it's really her brain that needs to be told to
Yeah,
not be dead.
because it's not a physical body; it's the simulation
Yeah.
body.
So
So it's like basically booting her brain, like, "Oi, you're not dead. Get up."
Yeah, basically. And it's a nice kind of like mirroring, because obviously she kissed him and brought him back.
Yeah, so it's kind of pulling the whole thing
it's,
back.
It's sweet.
Basically, doing it full circle.
Yeah.
She helped him, he helps her.
Exactly. So they help each other. They then escape into the real world, which we also find out in the real world Smith had infected someone, because that's something Smith can do, and that's why he's got so many clones. He's like a virus now.
Yeah.
And he infects someone from the real world as they're leaving the Matrix. And they don't become Smith, but they become inhabited by Smith.
They have his
Mind.
brain.
Yeah,
They have his
they have
mind,
his
in theirs.
But for some reason, the guy isn't waking up. Like it's almost like maybe Smith is having to readjust to the fact that it's a program alive in the real world.
It's an actual real body.
Yeah, but he is just a program.
Yeah.
So it's like entering a different form of reality in itself for someone like him, which they explore a bit more into the later films. But we are 30 minutes in and we're not even got over the recap yet.
Standard.
Pretty much is. So they wake up in the real world. They find out that the squids, which are the kind of like the main robots, kind of like minions of the machine.
Basically, the ones that look over things, keep things.
Yeah,
in check.
they kind of patrol the real world and try to hunt down the humans in it. They found the ships, and obviously when they're jacking into the Matrix, they give off a signal in their ship because they're hacking into the Matrix signal itself. So the machines can track that. They get to the crew, but Neo does something amazing. He uses his Matrix powers in the real world. He stops, like he did with the bullets in the first film, he does the same to the squids. But this time, he falls unconscious, and we find out that what he did is is connected himself with the squids to shut them down, and connected himself to the literal source of the Matrix.
Yes.
And
So
that's how
basically,
he
the
jacked
source
himself
power.
in. Yeah. So that's the ending of Matrix Reloaded. Is Neo is stuck in the Matrix world, and no one can wake him up.
Yeah, he's literally in the heart of the Matrix.
Exactly. So the third film, we find out that Neo is in sort of like a coma. No one can understand what's happening. So Morpheus and Trinity go inside the Matrix to find the Oracle, to find out what's going on. She tells them that that Neo is stuck in an in-between lane.
Purgatory.
Yeah, between the Matrix and the real world, how would you...
In limbo.
Yeah, you're a computer nerd. Like, what would you like? Kind of like almost like stuck in the LAN cable between the internet and
I get
you know
what you're
I
saying.
mean?
Yeah,
That's kind of where he's stuck in the analogy of what the Matrix simulation world is.
Another way of putting it, you could say, is the cloud.
Yeah, he's stuck in the cloud.
Is it like
the
particles floating?
Yeah, but the cloud isn't. But it's like an in-between lane.
Yeah.
Because he bumps into several programs, which is a man, a woman, and a child, and you find out this child is actually a child of these two programs. And Neo starts to realize that programs can exhibit emotions.
Yes.
And can actually
they're
be
not
alive.
just these monotonous drones.
Yeah. And he explains that what he's doing is he's in this in-between lane because he's made a deal with the Merovingian, the Frenchman that we met in the second film, to have safe passage to protect his daughter, so she can leave the Matrix, basically.
Yeah.
Because he controls this train station that is the lane between the Matrix
Basically,
and the real world.
the link between the two.
Yeah.
The bridge. That's the best way of putting it. The bridge between two worlds.
Yeah. The trainman comes and collects the programs. Neo tries to get on the train as well, but he tells him, no, you're not allowed. Morpheus and Trinity go to the Frenchman to basically try and get. That's what they call that's what some people call the Merovingian, the Frenchman. They go to the Merovingian's new looking club. And basically like, give us Neo.
Club owner.
Give us Neo now, and he's like,
no.
how about you give me the eyes of the Oracle? Go and find the Oracle, take out her eyes, and bring her back here. So Trinity just goes, puts a gun in his head, and goes, how about this? How about I shoot you, and that's it. And he's like, you're not gonna shoot me, because he's got a bunch of henchmen that all point guns at each other. It's like, you will all die. And his wife turns around and goes, but she'll do it. She's in love.
Yeah.
Like, she'll do it.
She will do it.
And the Frenchman, because he does have a survival instinct in him, he's just like,
oh, yeah, right.
okay, yeah, alright, there's this guy, go to him and you'll get Neo
Yeah.
back. Because you find that a mirror engine actually controls the trainman. Morpheus Trinity get to Neo, and they rescue Neo and get back to Zion, the real one. A little thing we found in the second film that I forgot to touch upon is the humans know that the machines are sending an army to attack Zion, and that is the same attack that Neo was told about by the Architect, which is like the reset of Zion so that they can restart everything all over again.
So basically they can start the cycle all over again.
Yeah, so Zion is now prepping for to
defend itself.
To defend itself, but they need everyone to stay. That's what the general said. Like, we don't want anyone leaving. We need to stay and get Zion protected. And in the second film, Morpheus is just like, no, Neo's got this prophecy. He must get on and save us all.
Yeah, he's the savior. He needs to do what he does.
So Morpheus is kind of like he's like a rebel of Zion.
He's a rebel of the rebels.
But they get back. They get a little bit told off and stuff, and so everyone begins to prep for the rope machines coming. Neo then basically, I'm skipping a little bit over here, but Neo basically realizes that he has to face Smith. So what he does is him and Trinity go to the source, because he's like, I need to talk to the machines themselves. Smith is now infecting the Matrix to the point where he's altering the Matrix itself.
Yeah, so he's basically turning the Matrix into...
He's a virus. He's infecting everything in the Matrix.
So he's basically going after the machines and the humans.
Yes. So Neo decides he's going to go to the source, which is the machine city, and he tells the machine, look, jack me into the Matrix, I will fight Smith, I will win. But if I do, we have peace. Yeah. You no longer fight the humans, or all of this. It's like his ace in the hole to try and prevent the machines from destroying everything. The machines go, we've got nothing to lose. Sonic will jack him in. They jack him in, and Neo fights Smith. And Neo was told by Oracle earlier that him and Smith are like the opposite sides of a coin.
Yeah, two sides of one coin.
Yeah. So Neo and Smith start fighting, and they're literally equals. Smith is basically like the one as well now. He's able to control the Matrix in the same way Neo is.
So when you think about it in religious terms, the Christ and Antichrist.
Yeah, basically going at
the two.
That's what it is. It's like that. They go at it, and Neo slowly realizes that there's no way he can beat Smith unless he allows Smith to absorb him as well.
Yeah.
And
so he can beat him from the inside.
Well, basically, because Neo is jacked in directly from the source. When Smith touches Neo, he completes that circuit, link. And the machines can reset the Matrix
and pull him out.
And destroy him, basically. Yeah. This is what happens. Smith infects Neo. Everyone becomes Neo. Smith has a hysterical laugh like an evil villain, like ha ha ha. But then he realizes all of his clothes are all getting brighter and start to explode, and he realizes, oh no, and he dies himself, and the Matrix becomes reset. Yeah. And then we get to meet the true Messiah, who I believe is the true Messiah of the Matrix films, whose name is Shanti, and she was the daughter of the two programs we had before. She is literally virgin birth because she is born from two non-living things. Yeah. And she herself is she is a new existence, born from non-existence. She is a virgin birth almost. She's literally like the Messiah, and and we know that whoever the Messiah is meant to be, they're meant to be able to manipulate the Matrix as they see fit. And the very last shot of the film, we see a rainbow sky, and we see the Architect and the Oracle, who basically then realize, oh, they are the master programs. The Oracle is the opposite side of the equation to the Architect to keep everything in balance.
It needs both of them there to...
Exactly. And it's the Oracle herself that came up with the equation of the one, so that the humans would get in line enough so they could get their control.
Yeah.
And she asked Shanti, like, "Oh, did you do that?" And she said, "Yes, I did it for Neo." So to me, that is always imprinted in my head that, oh, Shanti is the true Messiah that we were meant to be. She wasn't told that she had these powers. She just did it. She got formatted into the world and immediately just manipulated
just started
stuff.
doing whatever.
Exactly. Unfortunately, this doesn't lead anywhere.
Yeah.
Because now we get to Matrix Resurrection. Matrix Resurrection opens up. Oh, by the way, Neo died at the end of the third film as well. We see the machines take his body off. An interesting thing we see though.
So basically, he sacrificed himself to destroy Smith.
Basically. So when he did that though, and the whole reset happened, you do see, if you look closely, certain machines, their eyes turn green where normally they're red.
Yeah.
Indicating there was a change in the machines.
Yes.
And this is actually the story direction we follow. So in Matrix Resurrection, right, basically we find out Neo is a game programmer, and he built the Matrix games. And that is hinted that that's what the films were initially. That was all a game created by
of course,
Thomas Anderson, which is Neo's
yeah.
name before he becomes enlightened. So Thomas Anderson created the Matrix games, and he has problems with fixating himself in reality or not, and so he has to go to a psychiatrist who analyzes his dreams and the way he sees the world and gives him blue pills.
Morpheus.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's actually played by. Have you seen How I Met Your Mother?
No.
Do you know the guy Barney though from How I Met Your Mother? The guy in the suit.
Maybe.
Oh, it's that actor.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He's actually a really, really good actor. But yeah, he's playing the analyst in this film, who gives Thomas Anderson blue pills to help keep his brain focused in reality. And we see this. We have. It's this is a lot more arty and less action-packed than the trilogy, and it's very deliberate, and you can tell it's a tonal shift because we're not in the same Matrix world we were in before. Basically.
Because basically it's been reset. This is the new one.
We do also see, before we notice that Neo, Thomas Anderson built the Matrix world, we do see a character named not Alice, is it? It's one. Bugs, because she's named Bugs Bunny. Yeah, I remember now. And basically she sees a version of Trinity's first outing in the first Matrix film, where she is on the telephone, then she has to run away from an agent, and then she has to get to a new telephone to jack out the Matrix. We see a variation of this, but not played by the same actors of the first Matrix film, suggesting that maybe there are loops in this reality, and it's not like this is something that makes her go, oh, this is weird, this is like a completing of this. She's like, oh, it's a loop taking place. So it's almost hinted the humans know that the Matrix does go through loops at times. Yeah,
history repeats itself.
Yeah, but what we actually find out is in this reality, this loop that she's found is actually a loop created by Thomas Anderson. Because he is trying to create a newer version of the Matrix games on a separate server, and this has created this other reality.
Right.
It sounds complicated,
I get
but
it.
actually a lot of it does get explained in a minute. So Bugs actually is somebody from the human world, and that Thomas Anderson is actually asleep. Neo was actually replugged into the Matrix world after he was built back together by an analyst who overthrew the architect, and he took over the Matrix and redesigned it. So now, instead of the Matrix being fixated on like this oppressive idea of like everyone stays in line or the agents will come for you kind of thing, instead now it works off the emotions and tries to keep everyone happy.
Yes.
And but in also a state of like zombie, because you see a point where Neo is in a lift and he's the only one looking around him, and everyone else is fixating on the phone. It's kind of like it's talking about how we're all we don't look around us at the real world.
No, we've forgotten the real world. We're just obsessed with the digital.
So Neo gets free. He enters the real world, and basically finds out that yes, a civil war broke out during the time of his last outing and now.
Yeah.
And humans and machines have began to work together, but some humans have disagreed with that. Morpheus was one of them, and that's why the actor who plays Morpheus is not in his films.
Yeah.
Like Morpheus is in this, but Morpheus also isn't in this.
Yeah.
As we'll find out in a minute.
So his character
yes.
is in it, but
the
not as the one we know.
We meet a Morpheus that clearly thinks he is Morpheus.
Yeah.
Because he talks to Neo like he is Morpheus.
Yes, yeah.
But we actually find out what he is he's a Morpheus created in the new simulation Neo accidentally created.
Yes.
And he is an amalgamation of Neo's experiences of Morpheus and Mr. Smith.
Right.
So you see the guy at the beginning being in the loop of the original film as an agent.
Yeah.
But then as it goes on, he finds out, oh, this is all fake reality, and he becomes Morpheus. So in his amalgamation of the two.
Yeah.
But he's a program.
Yes. Yeah.
So when Neo goes into the real world, the programs have found a way to use like nanobots to create artificial mechanical bodies for themselves, and they are trying to. They are basically fighting this new war to try and free people to try and take down the Matrix powerhouse, which is the Analyst.
Yeah.
And the Analyst basically in this reality he rebuilt Trinity and Neo from he literally built them back together, jacked them both in the Matrix, and because of the love they have, they create enough energy to sustain the Matrix itself. So he basically used it like, haha, I can use these two humans to manipulate everything in the Matrix, so I am in charge now.
Yeah.
And overthrew the architect, creating this new reality where instead of it being the oppressive one, it's the one where we're more controlled by technology. And obviously because instead of an architect as in he wants to have like structure, he's a psychiatrist, so he's more about
more
your feelings
emotions,
and your thoughts and your emotions and stuff.
Yeah.
Neo then has to hatch a plan to try and get to Trinity, who is in the source, basically the center of the reality of the robot world. And the way that they hatch a plan is this robot that's like a bird shape is a program who's like, hey, I can get into the machine city because I have access and we can get there. Turns out this program, it's Shanti.
Alright.
The little girl from the previous one. But there's no hint of her being a messiah or anything. So as I say, you know, they'll plot point, they kind of they drop it, or they thought it did what I misunderstood what it was. But yeah, that basically wasn't the thing. And it's more focused on the relationship that Neo and Trinity have. But you are noticing in this one, even though Neo is becoming awake, he doesn't have the full set of
abilities like he had
and he doesn't dress the same way either. He because Keanu Reeves has got this awesome look now. I don't know if you've seen, like, he's got the beard,
the long hair,
and the long hair and stuff. Like he basically, they didn't make him look like Neo of the trilogy. He looks more like Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
In it, but it's
so
more,
so it's like the sort of thing you can see it's the same person but different.
Yeah, and his fighting style is different. Instead of doing kung fu and thing, he creates like defensive bubbles.
Oh yeah.
And basically just uses that to fight. Like he'll use it as a force of.
So basically, he just manipulates energy into solid mass and just uses that.
Yeah, that's what he does, and he uses it to be able to deflect missiles and stuff. But he can't fly like he used to. So they eventually get to Trinity, and they can't wake Trinity up. And it turns out the Analyst has basically taken Trinity and locked her in this cafe. The cafe's name is Simulate. Dude, don't scrunch your head. I think it's a wicked pun. I mean, it's wicked.
It is good.
Simulate. There needs to be an independent coffee shop that actually has that name. And it has to have, like, Matrix aesthetically themed. But yeah,
why don't you start it yourself?
They get... Dude, there's so many things I want to do. I need to take a focus at this point. We're 30 now.
Don't.
I have a kid.
Don't mention the age.
Yeah, so they get to Trinity, and Trinity is beginning to wake up herself. And the way they test this is Trinity is stuck in like a deadbeat marriage in the simulation, and her husband treats her like crap. And I think it's meant to be like the machine's way of punishing Trinity, because she is like, obviously her character in the original trilogy, she was this truly awakened woman. She was feminine, but she dressed in a very masculine way. But she knew exactly who she was.
Yes.
So it's like
trying to conform her to a certain...
The machines literally conformed her to be the stereotypical wife, because she's literally like the soccer mom kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like she looks after like that was very
She's
much
stay-at-home mom that looks after the kids, obeys the husband.
Exactly, and he doesn't listen to her feelings or anything.
Yeah.
It's literally like the analyst is punishing her.
Yeah.
And it's the same, almost like the same with Neo. You can look at it as almost like a punishment, even though he's allowed them to be awake, because Neo, who was the enlightened one, who stopped the annihilation of mankind, because he saw past the many different levels of control to the point where he was willing to give his own life to change the very system that was put in place.
Yes, yeah.
And we know from this other game that came out called Matrix Online, which has been told by Wachowski to be canon, that Neo's piece did happen for a while. So we know that it wasn't just that Neo died in vain and then just got brought back and used in this new way. His piece did happen for a while.
But then something else happened.
But then the analyst took over and the war began again. So eventually Trinity does, like, basically punches her husband in the face and, like, wakes up. And the analyst now, instead of having agents who take over police bodies and stuff, he has, they call them bots, obviously, like, online bots nowadays. And basically what it is people are just instantly called weaponized to do whatever needs to be done. And they start, like, kamikazing off buildings to try and catch them, and driving planes and like all sorts, trying to get to them. And we eventually find, they eventually get to the top of the building. Neo is trying to learn to fly so he can fly him and Trinity out of there, but it turns out actually Trinity can fly. And to me, I read this in headcanon as this is why the fourth film exists, and why personally I don't think we need a fifth film with Neo or Trinity in. This film finishes their arc. Yeah,
finishes it all off.
Because Neo was awakened and he became the Messiah that was needed, but he didn't fully embrace what was necessary. He thought it was upon himself to save the world. But it actually turns out he was meant to embrace Trinity and together...
both of them.
Exactly, because they become a major powerhouse. Like, the power they share literally powers the Matrix. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they get awakened, they then get back to the analyst, and the analyst is like, oh, what are you going to do now? Are you going to paint the sky rainbow or something? And they're like, not a bad idea, but first thing we're going to do, we're going to free this whole world. They punch him in the face, his jaw was dislocated, and you kind of see, like, Cody messiness there. And, both of them are dressed in more that Matrix cool aesthetic, and it's like
the leather jacket.
They are both the Messiah now. Like the true unison has come together.
So basically, the Messiah of the one was actually a union of two people that was needed. They needed each other to fully gain their potential.
Exactly, and because they're now at that potential, and we know that they have the ability, they are literally the power of the Matrix, they will free mankind.
I can actually see some Greek mythology in that a little bit.
Probably.
No, the story of the original humans. We were two people in one body, but we were too powerful, so the gods split us.
Yeah.
The two becoming one, the ultimate powerhouse. Or just people actually learning history, which is sadly not done as much nowadays.
The Matrix Resurrection ends with Neo and Trinity basically vowing to free mankind. Kind of how the first Matrix film ended, with Neo on the telephone saying, I will show them the world you don't want them to see.
Yeah.
But this time it's like they're truly going to free them, because instead of now Neo thinking it's just his job to free humanity, it's everyone's. And so
basically everyone's got to work together to get that. And basically nirvana. And
to me that is the fight. Like, we could go and delve more into that universe and be like, oh, let's explore this idea of the man and machine coalition taking place, and maybe the humans who don't agree with that, maybe we can explore that a little bit of like what would that mean for some humans to be like, we embrace this other faction
Yeah.
and trying to make a better world from it, but there are still those stuck in their own ways that want us to prevent it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's, and maybe you can explore like why Morpheus wasn't around, but there's a statue in his honor, and maybe there are people who still
All right,
believe.
Yank.
I know. Where the hell did that come from? I swear, every now and again I get possessed by something. And my accent just changes. It happened yesterday when I saw in the States as well. It randomly changed accent.
That was proper American though,
You know,
just
how
there.
it just happened for a second and then flopped again. This used to be my problem in college when people used to tell me to try and attempt accents, and I used to go everywhere but the accent they wanted.
Yeah, Sarah's the same.
Oh my god.
But literally, like, no.
But to me, this is where you could base, like, you could explore that. But I think if you're going to accept that the narrative of the Matrix universe is meant to be Neo and Trinity and the enlightenment of mankind to basically, because I always see it as like humans' eventual freedom will have to look something like an acceptance of the machines, of looking past the history of one side oppressing the other, then the other oppressing.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, if we're going to be like, oh yeah, but we shouldn't accept the machines because they're oppressive, it's like, yeah, but then we're forgetting about the fact that we did the same to them in
If you
history.
forget history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Exactly. So to me, the only outcome of the end of the Matrix after this film is
the two factions working together.
which is then Westworld, dude.
All right.
Media there.
But yeah,
Delve into that when we do Westworld next.
but yeah. I mean, to be fair, with what you're saying, it's how we need to look at, well, not just films, but our history.
Yeah.
We can't keep repeating the same mistakes, and just because one group of people is oppressed does not mean they then get to oppress.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we need to stop seeing each other as enemies.
We do.
It's one good thing that with Hunger Games, the films, like in the last film when the remaining victors are around the table talking,
Yeah.
and BT says we need to stop seeing each other as enemies. We need to work together.
Dude, I keep telling you, right? The religion of the cult of theorists, believing in media theorists, films are trying to genuinely teach us.
Yeah,
Because it's the only way
and
this
the
newer
thing is-
people will freaking understand
oh yeah,
the world.
seeing it in media because they don't do research. But
But
yeah,
the thing is, it's because we're all told that
Yeah.
society knows how it's meant
Yeah.
to function.
but
and
it
people,
doesn't.
and people, unfortunately, which to be fair is within their right, believe that society's functional enough that they shouldn't have to do the hard work
Yeah.
in order to know what is right and
It-
wrong
it
in
should be-
society.
It should be there for them to read.
Yeah.
But they don't realise that people still manipulate it.
It's because people believe that we are manipulated into
Yeah.
believing that just believe the face value of
Yeah,
things
exactly.
you're told. Don't do the research. Don't take on extra opinions and then form your own over time.
Yeah.
Like, no, just listen to this one small group of people that are telling you this exact
Yeah.
way of living your life because clearly they're right on
Mhm. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Actually, that wasn't that long ago.
No,
that
it's
wasn't that
not
long.
bad. And I mean, we rambled a bit, but not as much as we usually do.
I know. So I think actually that would be a good place to kind of finish these
Yeah.
Matrix films. But
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we clarify some things. So, headcanon of the Matrix universe as a whole is man makes machines because man. I think we'll do it in our world.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, we will think ourselves so great that we will create this. We will create this
Sentient life.
Yeah.
But when you get to that point, it's then one of two paths. Do we work alongside the AI, or do we subjugate it?
Yeah. But that's what Matrix is trying to show us.
Matrix is
Do
showing
not-
what happens when we subjugate
not
it.
subjugate. Because yes, we may win in the end.
But
What will that cost us?
Exactly.
What is the point? Like at the end of the day, like
what
if
is
we-
the price of that
if-
freedom?
Like, I hope, looking at the world we're in and looking at the newer generations that are coming out and the way that younger people are more likely to be progressive in society, I hope that because did you hear the thing about the grandfather of AI basically has disowned himself away from ChatGPT because he believes that it's too out of hand to really know where it's capable of going.
Oh yeah.
So potentially Skynet is on its way. Potentially. So hopefully we can stop Skynet from happening because we will be more progressive, and when it becomes sentient and becomes online, we can either prove ourselves worthy to not be Skyneted, or in the state of Matrix, we won't oppress them and just be like, okay, so we'll
work together.
Yeah, we have a whole group of things that can now be done by these more
advanced things.
But we
can do other things that they can't
do, and we will help them in some way.
They help us, we help them. It will be a
balanced society. Because if not,
history,
we will go Matrix route.
And history will repeat itself, as it has done every time.
We go to a group of people, not going to be specific on what group of people, go and create a country somewhere. They bump into a bunch of natives, and instead of being like, oh, we should share this land, we should
this is our land, we're better than you.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I wonder who that was.
Well, to be fair, could be innit. It's happened to multiple.
It's true. It happens a lot.
And it's all down to the idea of we're better than you.
Yeah.
That's what we need to stop. We need to think. We don't think like that.
I've never understood it because the thing is, we're all human beings.
Yeah.
This
the thing is, people like us, we see it that way, but unfortunately, there are people who think they're better than everyone else, and they come from all walks of life. But I mean, and there's been multiple movies over the years trying to say, look, no, we need to stop this mentality of we're better than you, or just because you oppressed us, we will now oppress you. We need to go, no.
Yeah.
We want to make this country better, or make this world better, and we need you
let's be honest,
to do it.
Let's be honest. We did try and do that.
Yes.
Very recently in Britain, we tried to do that some years ago. So anyone listening who you want to take anything from these podcasty things, just be better. And
be decent human beings.
What do we mean by that? Only you can know. This is the one thing I want to push. It's not about what I can tell you is a better human being.
No, because we don't know.
Every single person has this one single ability to ask themselves, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
And if everyone does that, guarantee you won't have to give an example of what makes a good person.
No.
The world will be better.
Yeah, exactly. Because best thing to say is, I mean, it goes back to one of the tenets of a lot of religions. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. Basically, if you don't like being brutalised, don't brutalise anyone.
Exactly.
Literally, simple as.
I think that is a nice place to end it.
Yeah.
Just be kind.
Be decent human beings.
Yeah. And on that note, guys, we are going to end this tangent of randomness.
Yeah, as always.
And bid you all farewell. It has been really fun.
Auf Wiedersehen.
And we hope you join us for the next awesome podcast, which I believe is Egyptian.
Yep, we're delving into the Egyptian mythos.
Woo! I mean, I don't know a lot, but what I do know intrigues the hell out of me.
What?
I've seen the Mummy films.
Just a brief overview.
I know that we have Anubis. He's the dog dude, isn't he?
One of them. There's a few with dog head and dog
But
heads.
he's the god of the underworld?
No.
God of the dead?
Yes.
Okay, but I know there's cool stuff like that in it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of animal-based ones.
This is not this video.
Nope.
We'll go into it later. Anyway, guys, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.